I give people a few minutes to pop on this Friday. I was just checking over my shoulder to make sure the kitchen was clean. I didn't even check that before I came on, so I had to do that. Hey everybody. Hey Jinder, how are you? Hey everybody on Facebook. It is Friday. Are we happy about that? Hey Gato, how are you? Thanks for popping on. Hey Nancy, how are you, my friend? Beach to train, good to see you. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about self-publishing. Hey Dennis, good to see you. If you get an opportunity to share the broadcast, that would be great. This is Vernester. Hey, I just wanted to give some thoughts on how to make the most. Hey, how are you? To make the most of self-publishing. I know a lot of people are out there self-publishing. Hey, Agnes, how are you? Thank you guys for all the thumbs up and the hearts. I appreciate it. Hey, M. Flowers Boyce. That's Mary, my best friend, who I think is getting me in trouble today, but we're not going to talk about that. Hey, Alonzo, good to see you. If you were able to share the broadcast, if you just type me in the chat box, that way I can thank you. I really appreciate it. Also, I put together a Kindle Publishing Template. It's actually a pack of different templates that you can use if you want to publish on Kindle. And so I put the website in the posted section. It's Kindle Publishing Template, bit.ly, Kindle Publishing Template. So you can check that out. You got to make sure that all the cases, it's the uppercase and lowercase. But it's really, really helpful. Thank you for sharing, Nancy. I appreciate it. So like I said, I just wanted to talk about some tips to make the most of self-publishing. Thank you, Tony. I've done both. I've been traditionally published and I've self-published, and I like both of the processes. That is Jorge at the door, and Jorge is our little neighbor, and that's Max the dog. Jorge is, I think he's 7. I'm not quite sure. But Jorge loves playing with my children, even though they're 16 and 15. Hey, Tej. Hey, Andrea. Thank you. And so he comes over all the time to get my children to play with him. And, they're 15 and 14. And so the 14-year-old will go out and play with Jorge, but the 15-year-old will not. And so Jorge is just going to stand out there at the door until somebody acknowledges him. Hey, Agnes. I have published books, yes. So if you want to talk, we can talk offline. So anyway, let's get back to topic. So 10 tips to make the most of self-publishing. And like I said, I put together a Kindle Publishing Template Pack that has all of the templates that you need to publish on Kindle. That's really helpful. So hopefully the dog will settle down. I have some work done at home. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure. I am at home and I do work at home, but I don't know what you mean by have done some work. So anywho, here we go. So it's 10 tips. The first one that I tell people, and I think this is good with just writing in general, and I did this unintentionally with my series of shift books, but whenever you write, if you could think of writing in a series, then it really kind of extends, the marketing for the book, but it also extends the readership. And this can work for fiction or nonfiction. So I tell people a lot of times, hey, Tribble, thanks for sharing. I tell people a lot of times, we have so much information, especially when it's around our expertise, that we could write like 5 or 6 books, or we could write one really big book. And the way that people read now is they like to read shorter, really niche down books. And so if you are writing about, financial advice, there could be an opportunity, instead of writing one manifesto on financial advice. Oh, thank you for that. You could write, a series of 10 smaller books just really focused on individual topics. See, Jorge is still standing at the door, and he's going to drive the dog crazy. And nobody has come down. Both of those boys are asleep. They got out of school early. They came home and went right to bed. So that's the first one. Think about writing in a series. And so not only will you get individual audiences for each book, because one audience may only want a certain topic. You will also get a group of people who, Courtney, I'd appreciate it if you don't post stuff like links on my thing. So anyway, so think of writing in a series. Oh, does it bother me more than you? Okay, good. Because it sounds like so loud to me. So think about writing in a series of books, and think about how you can use that to grow your audience. Also, be sure that you start a mailing list. So I talked to somebody yesterday, and I was doing a book consultation yesterday. Max, come here. Come here, honey. Come. Come. You want to say hi to everybody? This is Max. So you can need to start a mailing list, and that just involves, you see me doing it a lot, giving away free stuff, asking people to opt into your mailing list. And what it happens is you really build an engaged audience, and you keep them super focused on what you're doing. So it's a really... Hey GT, it's really a good idea that you start a mailing list. So if you haven't done that, even if you're not a writer, but if you're like an entrepreneur, or you ever want to try to sell anything online, or you plan events, hey Andrew, good to see you, or you plan events, you really want to consider to start a mailing list, so that you really can corral your audience, and make sure that whenever you have anything, you can get it to them quickly. I mean, social media is good, but they always say that the money is in the list, and so you really want to have people on your list that are super engaged with what you're doing and always want the first thing. Yeah, we can chat about that later, Nancy. I mean, really, whatever offer you make, you really want it to be around what the expertise is. So if I was to, if I wanted to publish a course on self-publishing or something like that, I mean, the lead magnet, which is what they call it, or whatever the free gift is that I'm going to offer, would have to do something with self-publishing. So it's just really simple. And honestly, it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. I mean, you really just want to put together something simple that's going to be helpful for people. So I always like to put together like worksheets. I like to put together just basic information or step-by-step guide to do something. And so that usually works really, really well. I know that one of the promotions that I did for the Shift, well, I did there's 3 books in the Shift series. And for each book, I mean, I put together a different lead magnet. So one of the books was, there was a journal, a companion journal. So you could either get the journal first and buy the book, or you could buy the book and then you could get the journal. And so you opted in and it was free. I emailed it to you. It was just a digital download. For one, I did a course based on the book. So each chapter we made into like a little lesson. And so it was like a 20-day email course. That's a little long. I don't know if you'd want to do 20 days. But because there were 20 people featured in the book, we did one based on each chapter and each person's story. I think a week is fine. The other thing that we did, Mary helped me. Mary is on the other one, and she helped. We did a free email course. We did a journal. We did something else. I can't think of what it was. And then for each book, we also did a teleseminar that was free, and people had to opt in to join that. So those are just some of the ideas that we did. Yes. No, the course did not consist of videos, but videos are great. We just wrote them up because it was 20 different people involved. I really didn't want to have to get into coordinating all that video. But the other thing that I did for the authors, and this is good if you have like a compilation book. Somebody was outside. Hey, Dallas, somebody was outside and bothering him. So he was kicking up a lot of ruckus. So at least now he's quiet, even though he's still getting on my nerves. He's still quiet. So I interviewed all the authors in the book. And so we did a series of interviews, and that was part of a free giveaway that we had done. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. So yeah, so those are just some ideas. Have fun and play with it. It was interesting. I did a Periscope yesterday, and I don't know who follows Dee Lee Inspires on Periscope, but she's in the writing space too. She has a movement called No Author Left Behind. And I had done a live, and then she happened to be on, so I just stayed on Periscope and watched her. And she did this whole counseling session, this whole coaching session with me around shift, and it was just so... it was phenomenal. I mean, like for 30 minutes, she was just telling me like different ideas that she, had thought of when she saw the shift series, and it was just amazing. She is one of the best people to follow, and I'm going to be doing some of the things that she suggested. But sometimes it takes somebody looking outside of your project. So ask your audience, ask your family, ask your friends, like what would be helpful, to them, and then implement that. So that's always good too. So the other thing about the email list, sometimes, and this is just depends on where you are, especially financially. But sometimes giving the book away, to a certain number of people just to get them to opt into your list, is big. Sometimes the subscription to your list is bigger, than the sale of the book. And what I mean by that is I think that everybody who writes a book really should kind of find a way, and I even did this with fiction, so it can work with nonfiction and fiction, really needs to find a way to build something bigger based on that book. Because most authors are not going to get rich just off on book sales. So you want to think of a course, you want to think of maybe a group some kind of online program, something that you can do. But you really have to think about more than the book. I mean, I tell people that often, hey, Dr. Muhammad, how are you? I often think of, the book is a big business card. It really is kind of like a way to open the door for a lot of things. And yes, you can make sales. And yes, people, there are a lot of authors that have gotten rich. But I just really encourage, especially those who are not like celebrity or something like that, to really think beyond the book and how can you create different courses. And I think that for those of us who are experts, I mean, the book is a great start, but some people are going to need more help. And so I think it's fair if you've stepped into this space, like a coaching space or anything, or an entrepreneur, that you have different programs that are going to service your clients that are at different levels. So, oh, James, I'm sorry. I don't know what is up with Facebook trying to keep me from being friends with people. But people, I have room on my friends list, so I don't know. So maybe if you try to inbox me, I can figure that out. But I am certainly not trying to block anybody from trying to be my friend. I need all the friends I can get. The other thing is you have to be responsive. This is the fourth tip. You have to be responsive. So people, on social media, they'll read your book and then they'll want to talk to you. They'll want to tweet you. They'll want to inbox you on Facebook. They'll want to email you. They'll want to interact with you. And so you really have to figure out a way that you can manage that interaction. You really want to be responsive. If you're not able to handle it, then maybe find an intern or an assistant that can manage that interaction. I have people, that they may see something that I'm not able to respond to, and so they'll respond to it and let them know that I'll, answer a question or something, when I get a chance. But people like to be responded to. So that's another thing about kind of being in a public space, is people want to be engaged, and they want to talk, and they want to ask questions, and they want to chat, and they want to know that there really is like a human being on the other side of all of this. Hey, Timothy, nice to meet you. And so from my experience, and this is just from more than being an author, but being in the public eye for, 2 decades, people like to be responded to. And I like to be responded to when I reach out to somebody that I may, admire, or I may want to learn more from, or whatever. So, and it's just good manners. That's the mom in me. It's just good manners. So make sure that you respond. One of the other things that I say is to make sure that you ask for help in the areas that you are not an expert. So I understand that your mom may be really good in English, or your brother may, have taken a graphic designer course, but they may not necessarily be the right people to take your book to the next level, right? So you want to make sure that you find the editors, you find the graphic designers, that you find the people that know how to format your book, and all that kind of stuff, so that they can make sure that it is presentable. One of the big issues, I think, is that we want to get it done, and a lot of us are on a budget, and I get it. But your book really is going to represent you and who you are, and you want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. So you really want to look for, you need to look for the right editors. And Nancy, if you remind me, I can send you some names that you can look for. But you really want somebody that has perfected the skill of editing, because it is a skill. And I will just say this: I always recommend to my clients that editing is where you put. You put probably the majority of your money. That's how important it is. And the great thing that I love about Kindle is that, you can constantly upgrade your book, because you are not going to ever put out a perfect book, right? You want it to be as perfect as possible, but there are best-selling authors every day that put out books that have typos or mistakes in them. So the thing I love about Kindle is that you can constantly update it, and even as a reader, if you go in, you'll see where there's updates available, and you can make sure that your book is constantly updated. Okay, are we done? Max and I are done. You ready to go? You ready to? Okay, go. You can make sure that your book is constantly updated. So don't skimp on quality. That's the other thing, and the thing about self-publishing is that you're in competition with all of the traditional publishers too. So you want to make sure that your book is up to standards. And I'm very pleased that self-publishing has come so far. I mean, there are some really quality self-published books, so we want to maintain that. There was a time when being a self-published author, it was really kind of like a stain. And thank you, Dr. Muhammad, who's on. He's a fabulous author, and he really puts out a lot of quality books. So I'm glad. Thank you for giving me some credibility. So I appreciate that. But you want to make sure that we maintain that standard. So you want to put out quality, and you want to make sure that you're going through the whole process, that you're not proofreading the book yourself, you're not doing all of that kind of stuff. So don't skimp on quality, and definitely know that you can't proofread your own thing. The other thing is that we also got to start thinking about this like a business, right? So I'm sure that a lot of us have a book in us, and we want to put it out there just because we love it so much. But if you're trying to make this what you do, then you have to also consider the sweet spot of what you're passionate about, but what people want. Hey, Charles, how are you? So I'm going to say that again. You want to make sure that you're meeting the sweet spot of what people are what you're passionate about, but also what people want. And so that could be as simple as posting a question on your Facebook page. If you're a relationship expert, posting something on your Facebook page and asking them what are 3 topics, or give them 3 topics and say, which one are you more interested in learning about? And then fill that need for them. Like I said, it does not have to be a 350-page book. People really don't read books like that anymore. So get comfortable with the shorter books and just giving them the information, what they want, how they want it, and make it as easy as possible for them to say yes to your book. And then learn from people. Dr. Muhammad was out there publishing when I was just, my first book was just an idea. And he did a lot, for the world of self-publishing when I was still trying to figure it out. And so, going to events and networking and watching lives like this and listening to people who have done it before, and, taking a course, going to podcasts. I mean, I think that the self-published community is very generous with information because we want you to get it right. And so many of us, I've been published for like 15 years now. And so there's so many of us who have paid a lot of dues. We've done it wrong a lot of times, and we paid a lot of money to learn it the right way. So, definitely if you're really interested in doing this right, consider getting coached or consider taking a course. Make sure that you're getting the information. Googling is great, but you're not necessarily going to get all the information that you need. And so videos like this, me talking about it, is definitely a starting point. So you want to make sure, though, that you are that you're educating yourself, and that you're going to do it the right way. And that you're going to, you're going to try to learn faster from listening to other people. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, take information that works for you. I'm not saying that everybody is going to be an expert and you should listen to everybody, but I think that you can tell the people out there that have kind of been through it and have your best interest at heart. And then my other thing is that if you want to write, then you just need to write. I mean, I think people, and myself included, come up with a lot of excuses not to get in there and do it. And unfortunately, to be a writer, you have to write. To finish a book, you have to write. And so I always tell people, it's not something that just hits me on a whim, that I just wake up and like, ooh, I gotta write. It doesn't always work like that. I mean, you have to make time for it, just like you have to make time for anything else. And so schedule it. Put a schedule together. If you're fresher in the morning, you're more creative in the morning, that's the way I am, then make sure you set time aside in the morning to write. If you're better at night, if you can write anywhere, Mary Flowers Boyce, my best friend, is a beast when it comes to writing. And she can write anywhere. She writes in her car when she used to be. She's not waiting for her kids to get out of school anymore, but she would write in her car waiting for her kids to get out of school. I can't do that. I got to carve out my time, and I've got to set a schedule and an appointment, and I know at this time between 8 and 10 in the morning, I'm going to write. So you have to figure out what works for you, but you really do have to put yourself on a schedule and make sure that you can get it done. Some people, don't get me wrong, Dallas. I think that people absolutely do get inspired and can write, but I don't think that happens every day. Hey, Mick. And so I think that if you're on a deadline for something, or if you, have a book that you want to finish, if you only write when you feel inspired, you will never get it done. Hey, Janelle, how are you? So that's what I'm saying, write a schedule. If you have a schedule, and like my schedule is from 8 to 10 in the morning, and at 11:30 I am inspired, then I will write at 11:30. But if I'm not inspired, I'm still writing between 8 and 10. And so that's the reason for the schedule. I think that, people assume that because we write that, every day we're like, woo, I'm writing, and then the ideas just flow, and it's not necessarily like that all the time. So you have to schedule it. So those are my tips for self-publishing. And like I said, I put together a little planner if you want it. The link is in the post. But it helps with Kindle because Kindle, can be a little bit difficult when it comes to formatting. And so this will kind of get you ready when you're ready to publish on Kindle. I also like CreateSpace if you're looking to do the hard copy, but Kindle is great if you just want to put out an ebook or something that people can read on their devices. So the template can be found at bit.ly/Kindle Publishing Template. And so that could be very helpful for people. Hey, Dallas. Oh, you're welcome, Dallas. I'm glad. All right, Mary Boyce, I will talk to you later. You guys, I will talk to you later. I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your Friday. You are welcome, Jessica. Like I said, Dee Lee Inspires is a great person to follow as well. She does a lot of Periscope. She's like me. She's on Periscope like every day giving tips with her movement, No Author Left Behind. And like I said, she just has some really great advice that I'm going to be following with one of my projects. So I think that's great. You are welcome, Janelle. Are we connected on LinkedIn? I think we're connected on LinkedIn. Anywho, her name, hey Valerie, her name is Dee Lee Inspires, and her movement is No Author Left Behind. And I think she even has, I think it's the No Author Left Behind Nation or something. She has like a whole troop of people. So it's really awesome. So just check her out. I don't know what she does on Facebook, but she's on Periscope all the time. Well, if Janelle, because I think somebody named Janelle inboxed me, and I think their last name starts with a W, so I thought it was you. Sorry. Sorry. So yeah, check her out on Periscope and on Twitter. She does a lot of good stuff. All right, you guys. Have an amazing Friday. I'm sure I'll be on tomorrow talking about something else, so I hope to see you. But until then, take care of yourself. Bye, Dallas. Thank you. See you guys later.